welcome back to the Astro Read. We are your hosts, Nayeli and Stella. This podcast is all about astrology, celebrity news, and how to use astrology in your everyday life. Welcome back to our current subscribers, and hello to all our new viewers tuning in today.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. And I am so excited to see everyone who is joining us and watching our videos. We love the comments that you're posting. We love all of the ways that you're connecting with us on Instagram. As you know, our goal is to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. And we are so grateful for all of you who have already started watching. And for those of you who have just joined us, if you like the content of this video, feel free to subscribe. And most importantly, if everyone could share it with those in your life that are interested in astrology and love to hear all about the astro news out there that is going on in the world. Today, we are going to talk about two of our favorite couples.
Yeah.
Nobody already knows, right? Megan Fox and Machinegunkelly, and Courtney Kardashian and Travisbarker. These are our punk rock heroes of love, really representing that contrast of Venus and Capricorn, that rough Capricorn side with that soft Venus side coming together. And really, are they going to survive this Venus retrograde that's coming up in December? I personally am rooting for both of them. I think that they are wonderful example of the strangeness of committed relationships when you're being your best version of yourself and you're most honest. And of course, as we always say, this is for entertainment purposes only. We are just astrologers exploring the stars and sharing our knowledge of astrology and how it applies to everyday life, and specifically to the lives of celebrities in our celebrity reviews that we do. I guess every 2 weeks we have a post. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I really like these two couples. You know, I think there's always like naysayers for any kind of celebrity couple. I think with Meganfox and Megan Fox, people wonder, okay, is this, are they just a publicity stunt? Is there really a true relationship there? I think there is, and we'll dive into why, you know, in this episode. And then when it comes to Travisbarker and Kourtney Kardashian, I think some people have probably been surprised by this pairing because Kourtney Kardashian is, you know, a Kardashian. And then Travisbarker was, you know, in Blink 182, has done solo stuff over the past years, you know, comes from this rock punk type of world. And, you know, Kourtney Kardashian is kind of not really from that type of scene, but has gotten more acquainted with it with her wardrobe and whatever else. And so people wonder, okay, is this a relationship that's going to work? You know, they both have had past, you know, high profile relationships that did not work out. Is this really meant to last? Or is this just like another one of their relationships that's not going to work out? I also do think that Courtney and Travisbarker are a good couple. And we'll dive into that as well. But I think it's tough. If I had to pick which one out of these two couples is more likely to last, it's a tough call. Like, I think they're both good in their own right for different reasons. I think each of the pairings will have challenges, but I think time will tell if those challenges really end up ending those relationships, especially as we enter Venus retrograde in December, which will last until early next year. So yeah, let's dive in with each of these couples to analyze the pros and the cons. So when it comes to MGK and Megan Fox, I think they have like a pretty good stack up of the inner planets. So they're both Tauruses. So I think just from like a foundational level, they probably really relate to each other as far as like being stubborn and kind of opinionated about what they want and who they are and how they express themselves. You know, and also being I guess devoted and stable in a certain way. From the outside, they may not seem stable because they just, you know, MGK, he's like, I don't know, jumping out of things all the time. He just seems like a daredevil. And then Megan Fox does have her edgy side, but you know, at the end of the day, they're pretty grounded people despite all of that. And they both have their Mercury in Taurus. So they both are like Tauruses because that's their sun sign, and they also communicate like Tauruses. And you know, with having been exposed to Tauruses in my own life, I know they can actually be pretty great people to talk to because they're very like tell it like it is. They can be very like sarcastic, and so they probably both are that way and can relate to each other on that level. Then when it comes to their moon signs, their MGK's moon is in Pisces. So yeah, it's like the wateriest of the moons. I mean, granted, Cancer moon is also very like sensitive, but Pisces moon is like right up there. So, you know, he's, you know, he may have this tough exterior, but at the end of the day, he has a very sensitive center and, you know, can be very sensitive, can be easily hurt. You know, he wants somebody, a partner that's devoted to him, that's going to be sympathetic to his moods. But he may also have rose-colored glasses. So he could be easily deceived in relationships. He may have in the past. But because of his Taurus exterior, he probably doesn't let too many people get in, but has probably been fooled once or twice. Mm-hmm. So, you know, so he does have that weakness. And then Megan, she has her moon in a fire sign in Leo. So normally water and fire don't really mix. However, Leo is like the tamest out of the fire signs. Leo is a romantic sign, a sign that wants to be, you know, doted on, but is also sympathetic to a partner. So I think even though the elements of their moon signs don't 100% go together, I think they can complement each other really well. And then also Megan has her moon in the 7th house. So that can make her really attuned to being sympathetic and devoted in a relationship. She may attract sensitive and moody partners, which MGK is like, he fits that criteria. So that's like right up her alley. That's what she likes. So, you know, even though she's probably a little bit feistier emotionally than Machinegunkelly, she's probably able to accommodate his sensitivity and actually welcomes it and likes to be that support system. Then when it comes to their Venus and Mars matchups, that's where I think it gets a little bit tricky. So it can go either way. So MGK, he has his Venus in Pisces. So again, like a very sensitive Venus placement, makes him very romantic, makes him love. It could also make him very dependent in a relationship, which I totally get. Like if you've seen Megan Fox's and Machinegunkelly's recent GQ interview, you could totally tell that they're into each other. But Machinegunkelly is definitely more like dependent on the relationship. Like he considers himself to be Megan's best friend. Like he's all about it. Like once they started going out, he was like, yeah, I'm not dating anybody else. Like this is it. Like I have found my person. And he's even said in numerous times in interviews that she like saved his life basically. So he's very dependent in a romantic relationship. But on the flip side, the good side is that he is very romantic. With Venus being in the 10th house though, even though he is sensitive, a romantic, all of that, like he's not going to end up with just anybody. Like he needs to end up with the person that's going to give him some sort of status that will help him maintain a status. You know, he would probably very much like to be in a power couple, I would say, with a Venus in the 10th house. And Megan Fox provides that. You know, she's great to talk to probably for him, very sympathetic, you know, there for him. But also, you know, she's a bombshell. Like she has a certain status. She has been known for years. Like everybody knows who Megan Fox is. And she makes him look good. Like they look great together. Then when it comes to Megan's Venus, she has her Venus in Gemini. And if you've listened to a prior episode, I think it was the Adele episode, I shared that I am not a fan of Venus in Gemini. It's like proceed with caution. So I think with the Venus in Gemini, Megan probably needs somebody that she could be intellectually stimulated by in conversation. I think, you know, MGK can meet that need for her because MGK has a very strong Mercury. He has a way with words. He's probably famous because of how he can write lyrics and all of that and put musical arrangements together. More so the writing. I think Travisbarker has really helped with the musical arrangements. But anyways, but the downside or the challenging side of Venus in Gemini is that they tend to be fickle. They tend to engage in relationships first off because of superficial reasons without thinking of like the deeper components. So could that be in play with why, Megan Fox went for MGK? Maybe, maybe not. It could be, but there might be other things in the chart that show that maybe she was attracted to Machinegunkelly because, he's cute, she probably thought, okay, he's like really popular. We're going to look good together, all this kind of stuff. And maybe as time went on, she realized, oh, wait, I really like this guy. Like, he's great to talk to. He's intuitive like I am. She probably realized all these other things. But with Venus in Gemini, you have to be careful. I think for Machinegunkelly, he's going to have to keep Megan Fox on her toes long term if this relationship is going to be long term. And then with Venus in the 5th house, that's just such a great placement for Venus. I think like Machinegunkelly, Megan Fox loves love, very affectionate, needs passion, all that kind of stuff. So I can go on and on with the planets, but I want to hear from you, Stella. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Oh, this whole sign on the whole sign side, it's a match made in heaven. I mean, they're very compatible. The fact that they're both Taurus sun and Mercury in Taurus, and him in the 12th house, her in the 5th house, in whole sign astrology, really shows that they connect on a deep level in terms of how they want to be presented in the world, how what they're working towards, and really who they want next to them. Mostly people with sun in Taurus, that type of personality wants someone who is beautiful. And not just beautiful on the inside, all that fuzzy stuff, but this is like the way that Machinegunkelly talks about her on the red carpet, how hot she is, how he only wants to look at her. First, she eats this up as a moon in Leo. So she's all about this. And second, he's like, that is him. This is like, he is really, really physically attracted to her. Because of how much they match in their sun and Mercury. So the way they communicate is sort of even on the equal side. They are both Mercury in Taurus, almost on the same degree, I think 1 degree apart. So that's very connected to the way that they can communicate with each other. And then, of course, her Jupiter in Pisces is really very close to his Venus in Pisces. And this Jupiter-Venus connection, although some people may not agree necessarily, the fact that it's in Pisces, her sort of luck and her perspective and what she can receive in the world matches up with how he is expressing his love and emotions. So, she's really into this expression of his love. She's into the way he expresses himself in love. And of course, Mars is in the same sign as well. So he gives and receives in a very deep way that she is totally eating up because it really hits on that Leo moon. If anything, Leo moons need that, not just a deep connection, they need to be the center of the universe for the person that they're with. I mean, if you watch one interview, she basically said like, she's the only person that he needs to have in his videos. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the truth, guys. They are exactly who you're watching on TV as sexual and over crazy. And you might feel, oh, they're overcompensating, or, they might be just exaggerating for the cameras. It's not it, man. They're totally happy. A Taurus type of person is very affectionate and shows affection like nobody's business, and they don't care who's watching. And she loves it because it puts her on a pedestal in front of others. That Leo, an interesting Leo thing that they love. And then he loves it because she's not holding back. A Pisces person does not like people who are Pisces, Pisces, Venus in Pisces and Mars in Pisces is what I'm talking about. Those type of people do not like people who hold back. They will not fall in love with you if you're being hesitant or thinking about it. They need to know for sure because they're wishy-washy. They're not interested in wishy-washy. They're interested in solid ground, which she provides for him with her Mars in Capricorn. So the way she's expressing herself to him is the honest truth. It's very grounded. It's very honest. And it's something that maybe a person with Pisces Venus and Pisces Mars is not used to receiving, maybe from the females that they've been with before. And he's sort of like taken aback, like she's not holding anything back. Everything I do is cool to her. Like, and this is exciting for him because he gets this person who is just all in, and it's exciting for her because she doesn't get bored. You know, she's very solid in herself, very intuitive in herself, and it can be very boring when you have Mars in Capricorn. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, duh, like everything works out. No, he gives her this sort of, you know, watery Pisces energy in their love life that keeps her interested and on her toes, like you said, as well as keeps him sort of excited about her because he doesn't have to worry about her true emotions. Every single thing. And that's why, you know, you might say the Venus in Gemini is a bad thing, but Venus in Gemini actually is going to tell you exactly how they feel. And Gemini does not hold back. So she might hurt his feelings sometimes, I would say, but because she also has Mercury in Taurus, she sort of is more grounded in the way she expresses it. So it might hurt his feelings, but she's not being facetious or rude about it. She's more like, this is how I feel, and like, get over it, or whatever it may be. But you know, having this Venus in Gemini, she is so honest with him. He does not need to guess. There's no mystery. They can go on happily just being in love. And I think the only thing that could ever hold them back is if she gets bored, because again, you're right, Venus in Gemini, or if he decides that work is more important than giving attention to her. And, you know, she needs that attention, man. She's got that moon in Leo begging for it. Saying that she needs to do whatever she needs to do to get the attention, and not in a bad way. She wants to be respected. She wants to be put on a pedestal. It's not this attention seeking, like a desperate attention seeking. No, she deserves it because she works for it, because she keeps her body on point. She puts the work in. She knows how to communicate and be a good girlfriend, and she deserves it. So if you're not doing that for her, and that would probably be the only reason, because Gemini, Venus and Gemini people, much more apt to break up with you. So if she ever feels disrespected or put aside, or worse, not given the amount of attention that she needs in the relationship, it's just not going to work for her. So, you know, I would say that that'd be the biggest red flag for them, to make sure that they're always, you know, paying attention to Megan and keeping it exciting for both of them. So, yeah.
And as far as work is concerned, MGK is very, very, very driven. He has some really strong Mars placements. Well, not a lot of Mars placements, to be honest, but the ones that he has are very strong. Like, his Mars is right next to his midheaven. So, you know, when it comes to his career, like, he has the drive to go for it. His sun is in really good aspect to Mars, which gives him that additional drive. And then his Mars is in good aspect with Jupiter, which means like what input he puts, which is already a lot because he's driven, leads to really good output. So it's like, and it shows, like, he has really put a lot of work into his career, and you know, it's taken some time, but now he's just like as successful as he's ever been. And it's really because of his strong writing skills, his strong communication skills. He's even said it himself that he's not the best singer. And he's not, like, he has a good voice, but it's not like a Zayn, you know, who we talked about in another episode. So actually, Machinegunkelly is like the opposite of Zayn. Like, Machinegunkelly does not have the natural singing ability, but he's a really good writer. He's good in communicating. He has the potential for good acting ability. And Machine Gun Kelly has utilized this by entering some, some roles in movies. And he has drive. And he's used all of that to become even more famous than Zayn. And it just goes to show the talent's not enough. Like, you need to have the talent and you need to have the drive. And sometimes the drive is what's even more important. So Machine Gun Kelly does have a lot of drive. He puts in the work. Even in their recent GQ segment that they did, when they did this couples quiz thing, Megan mentioned that Machine Gun Kelly works a lot, and she seems to be okay with it. But yeah, that would be kind of the one red flag I can see, if that ends up becoming too much where she doesn't feel like she has enough attention, that could affect the relationship. It seems like he's done a pretty good job of having that balance of being driven in his work, but including Megan along the way. And when they do have that time together, really making it the best time. So I think he's found a good way of having that balance. And, with Megan, she does have her Mars in Capricorn, and she does have, pretty good Mars placements as well. So even though she may not have the same drive as Machine Gun Kelly, at the end of the day, she likes status. She is also ambitious in her own right. And so she probably admires the drive that Machine Gun Kelly has. But, at the end of the day, like, he better put balance and put attention to the relationship as well. I always, for relationships, I like to analyze the Juno placement. So when it comes to relationships, looking at Venus, looking at Mars, that's all good. But it's also important to look at the Juno placement. Juno is the asteroid that represents what one needs for a long-term relationship. So it's always good to look at in your own chart, look at your Venus placement and look at your Juno placement, because Venus will indicate what you're attracted to and how you are in romantic situations, but Juno will indicate what you need for a long-term relationship. So there's people out there that might have their Venus in a sign that's totally different from their Juno sign. And that indicates somebody that's attracted to certain qualities that are pretty different from what they need in a long-term relationship. So when it comes to Machine Gun Kelly, his Venus is in Pisces in the 10th house. So like mentioned before, probably really romantic, needs devotion, emotional support, but also wants that status because his Venus is in the 10th house. Wants somebody that he could be like a power couple with in a sort of way, that he could look good with in the public eye. His Juno is in Scorpio in the 6th house. So I think that kind of complements each other pretty well. Like, I think what he's attracted to is not too different from what he needs in a long-term relationship. And with his Juno being in Scorpio in the 6th house, like, for a long-term relationship, he needs that person. Like, Scorpio is a sign that's all about meshing together and bonding. So for a long-term relationship, like, Machine Gun Kelly needs total and absolute devotion, sexual intensity. He needs it all. And if he doesn't get it, it's like, that's when all the bad parts of Scorpio come out, like the withdrawal, the manipulation, the jealousy, all of that. So it's like, when, to be in a long-term relationship with Machine Gun Kelly, you're either completely in or you're completely out. Like, there's no in between. And then with Juno being in the 6th house, he also needs somebody that, can help him with his day-to-day life, that can help him set up a routine and a structure. And I think Megan Fox can provide that to him, just because she seems very responsible. She's intuitive to his needs. And she also has that Mars in Capricorn, which makes her really practical. She's a Taurus, also makes her practical. So I think she can provide that mixture of intensity and romance and complete devotion while also being practical. So he needs that balance. And then when it comes to his Juno aspects, he has pretty good aspects overall for his Juno. So that's really good. He's able to really get a lot out of a good long-term relationship. The only red flags or challenges is his Mercury is opposite his Juno. So that could lead to disagreement, mental games, all that type of stuff. So having good communication is super key for him in a relationship. Like, if he can't have good communication in a relationship, it's not going to work. And then added to that is the fact that Machine Gun Kelly's strongest planet is Mercury. So communication, writing, that's just his life. And so Megan does provide that as well, because their Mercuries are really aligned with being in Taurus. And then his Pallas Athene, which Pallas Athene is the asteroid that represents wisdom and creativity is opposite his Juno as well. So what the challenge that could provide is that relationships may get in the way of his creativity. So again, that whole interplay of like, will a relationship get in the way of his work, his creativity? That is a challenge he'll always have to deal with. But I think with Megan Fox being in the celebrity world, you know, knowing what it's like to be famous, you know, even though she's an actress, that actually helps, I think, because she knows what it's like to be a celebrity, but she's not in the music world, right? So she's not competing with him. She's in her own lane, but she gets it. So I think that could be a challenge, but I think Megan can meet the challenge. Then when it comes to Megan's Juno, Megan's Venus is in Gemini in the 5th house, like we mentioned before. So you know how I feel about Venus and Gemini. They can be fickle, but there's also good things that Stella has mentioned. Like they're very upfront, great at communication, you know, intellectually stimulating. And then with Venus in the 5th house, like she loves love. So she really is drawn to people that she could talk to, that she can have great conversations with, and that she could be romantic with. And her Juno is in Sagittarius in the 11th house. So again, even though Sagittarius and Juno are opposite signs, I think when it comes to comparing it with Venus and Juno, I think it is complementary, because what Sagittarius and Gemini have in common is that being able to have that intellectual aspect. So she looks for that, and that's also good for her in a long-term relationship. You know, she needs somebody that can be like a friend to her, because her Juno's in the 11th house, and I think Machinegunkelly can be that because they have good banter. The only challenge I could see is that Megan might need a little bit of more freedom in the relationship than Machinegunkelly might want to give, or might intuitively give, you know. And I think he could adapt because he is so devoted, and it's not like Megan Fox will completely step out of the relationship or not give him attention. It's just, you know, she might need time for her friends. She might need time to take a trip on her own here or there, whether it's with her kids or by herself, etc. So sometimes she needs those little pockets of freedom. And with like Machinegunkelly having that Juno and Scorpio and having those strong Venus presence, that might be an adjustment for him. He just needs to know that just because Megan needs her time, it doesn't mean she's not devoted to the relationship. So that could be like a little bit of a challenge. As far as Megan's Juno aspects, again, she has pretty good aspects. The only ones that are a challenge is that her Jupiter is square her Juno. So what that could mean is that she might have ideals about relationships that are different from the reality. Like she might have like these romantic ideas, or these like ideas of what a relationship should be. And then the reality sets in of the day-to-day of her relationship, and it's disappointing. But I don't think she's going to encounter that with Machinegunkelly, not with his Pisces and Scorpio placements. I don't think that's going to be much of a factor. And then Ceres, which is the asteroid of motherhood, is square her Juno. So balancing motherhood and a relationship, I think is a challenge that she will encounter, or having challenges over what her and her partner decide as far as child rearing. I have a feeling that probably came up in her marriage with Brian Austin Green. Like maybe she's a devoted mom. Like she loves being a mom. Being a mom is everything to her, you could tell. And she really raises her kids in a way that's very progressive and very much focused on each individual child's needs. And she's very gender neutral with how she raises them. And it's just very open. Who knows if Brian Austin Green had like the same belief system, or maybe she was so devoted as a mom that like it got in the way of the relationship with her and her ex-husband. That happens sometimes. I don't think this will come into play with Machinegunkelly, because Machinegunkelly is also, seems like the same type of parents. You know, he has a daughter from a prior relationship, and even though he has his life where he's traveling all over the place, he includes his daughter in everything. He has such a close relationship with his daughter, is probably a progressive type of dad. So I think the parenting styles of Megan and Machinegunkelly are probably complementary. And also because they've had prior kids other relationships, they may not feel that same pressure of having to figure out how to have kids together. It's one of those things that if parenthood happens for them together, great. And if it doesn't, then that's okay too. So that's kind of my thought. So I think even their Junos complement each other pretty well. So what are your thoughts, Stella? Anything bad about potential or good things about their relationship?
Yeah, I find that their relationship is solid, that they are in balance with each other. And something that she might have gotten, because you mentioned Brian Austin Green, and I got his chart pulled up, and it's totally different from from her current husband. But he does have Venus and Mercury in Leo. So that allowed for her, Leo moon to feel very comforted, to feel very in alignment. But there wasn't a lot of sort of this fiery energy that she needs. He was probably way more imbalanced because he is a Libra rising. And that's something that she probably found to be unchallenging, and something that she felt, like you said, with the Venus and Gemini people are not the type to really follow, and follow someone first, follow someone second, allow someone to follow them. Like, they need an equal partnership. They need to feel like the two people are on the same standing, and sort of like the feelings that a Gemini, or rather a Venus and Gemini person gets from a person ruled by Libra, is someone who's a pushover, someone who's very easily allowable, like guidable. And, the Libra energy might not allow for the Venus and Gemini person to feel like the person is their own human being. And something that we can't doubt about Machine Gun Kelly is that he is his own person. So she probably really enjoys the freedom as a person with Venus and Gemini of not having to guide this person, as opposed to her old relationship of having, even if he was older, like her last relationship, the man was older. Brian Austin Green, I think, was almost 10 years older than her. Basically, even if that was the case, she still felt like she was the one running the relationship. And sort of that doesn't allow for her to feel that there's an equal partnership. And that's not, something that she can really get over easily. So, now that they're broken up and she's with Machine Gun Kelly, she's with someone who has a very strong personality, a very solid character, someone who's not afraid to sort of be honest with her, even if it's about his emotions. As you know, he's got a lot of Pisces energy. So she knows how he feels all the time. There's no guessing games. There's no balancing out the opinion. Oh, does he feel this way? Does he not? He's going to be honest with her. He's not going to hold back sort of his emotional needs or asking for them as well. And yeah, this is a very good relationship. I don't think that there's anything that's going to happen to break them up. Once Venus goes retrograde in Capricorn, we're probably going to see maybe even more committed relationship. I'm betting that there might be sort of wedding bells announced, just like Courtney and Travis. So, cross our fingers. This is all speculation, guys, for entertainment purposes only. But I think that they are going to be even more committed. And as the Taurus Scorpio eclipses begin, we're going to be looking at a change in status for them, especially as the first eclipse comes up in their sun sign. They might change from being maybe boyfriend and girlfriend and evolve their relationship even further. So maybe ending their courtship, beginning their new romantic partnership into marriage. I wouldn't doubt that these two do get married. She's the type of person, or both of them are both Taurus, and Taurus need commitments. And she has Mars in Capricorn, and that is like, if you don't commit to me, even if it's just in his videos, like she said in one of her interviews, if you don't commit to me, this is like the end of the line. So I don't doubt that he's fully committed to the relationship, and he might even escalate, maybe inspired by Travis's beautiful proposal on the beach with all those roses. So that must have been very intimidating to sort of see, like, your bros, like everybody's friends. And once you see one guy get engaged, what's going to happen next? So it's very interesting what's going on. And I guess, are we going to move on to Travis and Courtney now and see how they're doing?
Yeah, speaking of them two, let's move on to these two, to Courtney and Travis. It's interesting because I forget which relationship started first, but yeah, as far as like, the race to the aisle, Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker are ahead of the line right now. So yeah, they're also another interesting relationship that I think some people didn't expect, but it may not be surprising to the people that have been surrounded by Travis and Courtney for some time. Apparently, Travis and Courtney have been neighbors and friends for some years, and then it just turned into more of a romantic union, and now they're on their way to getting married. Are they a good couple? We will explore. I think for Travis and Courtney, I think they're an interesting couple. I think they could potentially work out. I think they're not as much as a fit, I think, as Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, but I do think they're a good couple. So I'm going to break it down as far as their planets. So from the outside, Courtney and Travis probably don't seem like a great fit just because Travis is a Scorpio. He's like that moody, devoted, but also like tough exterior Scorpio. And then Courtney is an Aries, but she doesn't seem like an Aries. Like, yeah, she's very, I guess, opinionated and very much like what she wants she kind of goes for, or it's her way or the highway type of thing. Like, I think she is assertive and stubborn in a way, but she's not like your typical Aries that's like a daredevil or is like outgoing, I would say. So
Yeah, and that's I think that discrepancy is in her rising and her sun, because her
yeah,
rising sign is Pisces, so he probably identifies a lot being a Scorpio and appreciating her depth,
yeah,
how she presents herself as a much deeper person. But once you really get to know her, she's that the Aries,
yeah,
Aries sign. And she's got her Mars in Aries as well, and her Mercury in Aries. So it's a very strong Aries placement
yeah,
that she has, and he's got a lot of watery placement. So maybe initially she is like this very soft and gentle person that he met, but
mhm,
once you really get to know her, he might have identified, or she might have identified to him, a type of personality that's much stronger, which, as somebody with Scorpio placements loves strong
mhm,
people. They
yeah,
love to have strong figures around them, especially in their romantic relationships.
mhm,
A person with a lot of Gemini likes to be equal, but a person with a lot of Mars, or rather the energy of Mars in Scorpio, is much more apt to look for people who are standing their own ground, defending themselves, who are
mhm,
never going to back down. And as someone with a lot of Aries, you know how Aries are, they're always ready for the fight, and they don't know what the outcome is going to be, because,
yeah,
Scorpio is much more strategic. But with the Aries energy, she is going to come out there with her claws to defend her family, to defend her life,
mhm.
and really her livelihood, since it's placed in the second house. She's going to be very strong when it comes to generating income as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And the interesting thing is Courtney's sun is in Aries. So yeah, that's a big part of her personality, regardless of her rising and whatnot. And then Travis's moon placement is in Aries. So, Travis is kind of eclectic too. Like he's like this moody Scorpio, on the outside potentially, but then on the inside, he kind of has that assertiveness of the Aries, and he also has very strong Mars aspects as well. So, at the end of the day, he is that assertive guy underneath. He goes for what he wants. And Moon in Aries, not the easiest placement to deal with, in my opinion. People with that placement, they can be impulsive. Their feelings are really depending on like what works for them at that moment. It can change, it could stay the same, like you don't know. But I think that he's able to understand Courtney on a deeper level because he has that moon in Aries, and so he can kind of get like her quirks, her Aries related quirks, so to speak. And then Courtney's moon is in Capricorn, so not the most sensitive moon, but that could be okay because, Travis's moon placement isn't sensitive at all. Like Aries is not a sensitive sign. So I think, but with the moon in Capricorn, she's probably also kind of reserved as far as how she lets out her emotions. And maybe with Travis being a Scorpio, he can kind of relate to what it's like to have like a tougher exterior, but have like all this stuff hidden underneath. And so they both have that in common. In regards to their Mercury placements, Travis's Mercury is in Scorpio. So even how he communicates is very layered, probably. And then Courtney's Mercury is in Aries. So she's probably very like assertive and like tells it how it is. But then she also has her moon in Capricorn. So there's always like those hidden layers, I think, or she probably has a little bit of reservedness to her. And you can probably tell if you've ever watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians, like, she's always like monotone, like very even keel. And then every once in a while, she'll let out her emotions when something really gets to her, or if she's really upset or doesn't agree with something, then she lets it out. So I think they both have like these layers, they're not like what you see is what you get. Like they just have all these layers, and they probably get each other in a way that other people wouldn't understand. And then with Travis, his Venus is in Libra, so very harmonious in regards to how he is in relationships. He probably loves love. He probably loves being in a relationship. He wants harmony, with Venus being in the third house for him. He probably is very harmonious in how he expresses himself. Like he probably is able to have those good interpersonal relationships in how he communicates and keeps that at the forefront, which probably helps with maintaining the relationship. And then I'll do like a Venus-Mars combo for these two, because I think if I do Venus, Mars, it doesn't look good. So like Travis's Venus is in Libra in the third house, and then Courtney's Mars is in Aries in the first house. So yeah, like very like, again, that Aries presence in her. And, she's probably very much like her way or the highway, I can imagine. Her Mars is in the first house. And that's probably why she's gotten into arguments with Kim, because Kim is like a Libra and like a Sag rising, and is very much like accommodates other people, but Courtney doesn't do that. Like what Courtney wants is what Courtney gets and what Courtney's going to put up with. And so, but I think that could work because Venus and Libra, like I think Travis is able to accommodate Courtney's strong personality. She's just going to have to know when to like kind of not push her limits, because a Libra can only put up with so much. Then with Travis, his Mars is in Cancer, so that makes him like very sensitive. His Mars is in the 12th house, so according to the Placidus house system. So his energy might seem subdued as well. Like he may not be as aggressive, but still like assertive he may be. And then Courtney's Venus is in Pisces. So she actually can be a little bit of a softie. Like who would have thought? Like her Mars is in such an aggressive sign, but her Venus is in like idealistic and compassionate Pisces. And so that makes her romantic and sensitive. So the Mars-Venus matchup between Travis and Courtney is actually pretty good, both in water signs, and both can lead to emotional support and devotion. The Venus-Mars, with the Venus and Libra for Travis and the Mars in Aries for Courtney, it could be either or. It could be great, it could be not. So there's a lot of accommodation that needs to take place between them, I think, but I think they're able to do it because they just have this eclectic mix of placements and personality traits that could help. And I also think there's probably a trust level there. Like they might have needed all of this time of being friends in order to get to this romantic place. Like I don't think when they first met, they probably would have thought that they would have been a good fit for each other. But over time, as like the layers peeled back, and as they, met up for play dates with their kids or cross paths as neighbors and friends, they probably got to peel the layers of each other to really see that there was something special there. So yeah, I'll get to Juno placements in a bit, but yeah, Stella, I want to hear your thoughts about all of that and like the eclecticness of these two people.
So definitely agree with you. I think that Travis understood, like, first of all, Courtney went through a very public relationship, public, having her babies on camera. Like, I mean, very public for someone with Venus in Pisces and, their first house in Pisces. So their appearance is private, mysterious, sort of like, wishy-washy, like you can't pin them down. For all of that to be, in the public eye, it took a lot out of Courtney, and it might have even affected how she sort of relates to the world today. And, the very patient, Cancer rising, Travis understood that this must be something that he takes his time in peeling back the onion to be able to connect with her on a deeper level. She wasn't going to let in just anyone into her life, and she had already been through so many, a history of just someone who had not been as stable as she needed him to be. And of course, the person that we're talking about was her ex, Scott Disick, who happens to have Mars in Gemini, very strong Sun in Mars as well. I'm sorry, Sun in Gemini as well, and a lot of fire in his chart. Whereas she is, she has fire in her chart, but the way she wants to receive love is like a Pisces, very, emotional, very connected, very loving. So it was sort of like maybe her bad boy phase. And she still has the bad boy phase. But the good thing about Travis is that he presents himself as this bad boy because he has, according to the whole sign astrology, he has Mars in Cancer in the first house. And really, I find Mars in Cancer people to be like, I'm tough but loving type of thing. Like, and so he comes out as this fully tattooed guy, like, very cool, very mysterious, like in the background, but he's really all his heart, all his caring. He, has his North Node in the 5th house. I think she's very attracted to that because he is so focused on his children. And that's something that is paramount to her. Above anything else, her Jupiter is in the 5th house, in the house of children, in Cancer. So it's like she needs someone who understands like her joy, her luck, her excitement, her happiness is with her children. And, in the sign of children and family in Cancer, it's just like even more important to her. So having all these placements, even if it's Scorpio, that all these placements aren't in the 5th house for him, he's going to meld with his family. He's going to take his children, and those are a part of his life. And she really enjoys that balance with him. She doesn't need to choose, like we always watch her on the Kardashians, where like her family wants her to choose like her career versus her children. There's no choice for her. Her life and her devotion is to her children. And there's nothing and no one who will come in the way of that. And Travis first understood, but even more so, his drive, his North Node is in the 5th house. So he's got like even more power to give to that energy that she has. So of course, it's natural that they would want to get married because these energies that they're bringing to the table are like child-focused, loving, appreciative. Their communication styles are like at it, like they're right there with each other in understanding. And Scorpio can kind of like be the patient one to peel back the layers and try to understand someone. And she's the type of person, as I don't understand why she tries to do this. Maybe it's because her first house is in Pisces and she really wants to be understood because it's all over the place. But her communication style is very much Aries. It's very fiery. It's very passionate. And it might be something that is too harsh for someone with a Cancer rising and Scorpio sun. But it's actually the opposite because it's also in a Mars represented sign. Scorpio can really understand, and Aries can really take what they're doing and take it to the next level because they're the highest expression of Mars. So, whatever she's doing, he can bounce off of. And it's like such a wonderful energy to just watch. That's why it was so beautiful to watch their engagement. The videos that they posted, that they shared, because you saw like this Scorpio romance come through. It's very dark and mysterious with dark red roses and on a beach with the water element being woven into it. You know, me being a Scorpio moon, I was like, that's the most romantic thing I've ever seen. That is so beautiful. And, you know, like I was just touched at how quickly they got engaged. They actually got together in December 2020, and Megan Fox and machinegunkelly got together in June. So Megan is probably counting down like, hello, our friends are already engaged. Maybe putting that Capricorn pressure on her significant other to get it together. Because if anything, Capricorn is like, take me seriously or let me go.
Yeah.
So you know, that's an interesting mix. But I love this couple. I think that Courtney and Travis are sort of meant to be like, you know, and they might not have children together, but they will definitely put their children at the center of their world. It's going to be an interesting thing to see what comes about from their union. And we've already seen actually conflict within Travis's personal life because of how devoted Courtney has been to his children. Because she really just enjoys like being around kids. Like, you know, she might be a big kid herself. Like we all saw her, I think she was with what's the name of the TikTok star that she was with all summer?
Addison Rae.
Yeah.
Addison Rae,
And we were all like, what is this weirdness? Why is she hanging out with someone like, you know, 10 years younger or whatever it was that they were? And it was actually because she enjoys that kid-like energy. She enjoys that youthful energy of her placement of Jupiter. And then you have Travis with his 5th house placement, and now his ex actually had some sort of conflict with him because she feels that, or rather allegedly feels that, you know, Travis and Courtney are sort of pitting her children against her or whatever have you. But at the end of the day, it's probably not so much that they're pitting her against her, but once you have a parent who's so devoted to you, you know, who's so into the estate that you're in and supporting you as their child, like it's very hard, like that relationship and that bond that you build, and that Courtney can easily build because she's very good at it. It's hard to sort of pretend that it's not a favored sort of experience. It's probably just her youthfulness and her excitement, her ability to just connect with children that is most interesting to his children as well. And finally, just to touch on her moon in Capricorn, I would say that the fact that she didn't get married with Scott Disick, I think that this is fascinating because she has moon in Capricorn and they need commitment. They need to know that you are committed to them 110%. So, you know, I would say she never really got that solid ground that she needed, especially since he has a lot of strong Gemini, Sagittarius energy. And it's not really, you know, conducive to someone who needs to know that they're the only one. So now that she has someone who is a solid Cancer rising, who's the very strong Scorpio, who's really into her Aries energy and bouncing off of her and loves her children, loves his children. Like, I mean, this is the one, like, honestly, like this, according to astrology, is her like person. And, you know, they're very, very, very compatible. And of course, her North Node is in the 7th house. So the person that a North Node in the 7th house person picks will create positive, just magic around them. Like I said in another video, the 7th house North Node person will create magic with you. Your life will be enhanced. Your luck will be enhanced. But they have to pick the right person. Because again, Saturn is also in the same sign and they're in Virgo. So, you know, this person has to bring order to their life. This person has to understand that they are a method person when it comes to love. They're not not spontaneous, but definitely more organized, and they need order in their love life. It cannot be disordered. That's probably why Scott had such a hard time with Courtney, because she needs her love life to be stable. She needs her relationship to be grounded, you know, and especially with North Node in an earth sign as well. So, you know, and all the hard lessons, of course, they came from her seventh house, from her relationships.
Yeah.
So, you know, it goes on and on. But what were you going to say about Juno?
No, absolutely. Those were all good insights. And then speaking of order, you know, that's something that I think both Travis and Courtney need, and they've been able to find in each other. So when it comes to the Juno placements, which for those that don't know, Juno is the asteroid that represents what one needs in a long-term relationship. You know, with Travis, his Venus is in Libra in the third house. So he's all about, like, he wants romance, he wants harmony in a relationship, all of those kinds of things, good communication, you know, with Venus being in the third house. But his Juno is in Virgo. His Juno is in Virgo in the second house. So even though he is a romantic and he wants that harmony, he sets very high expectations. His Juno's in Virgo in the second house. So even though he's a romantic and all of those things, he has high expectations for his relationship, for a long-term one, right? So he may be romantic, but if his partner doesn't keep up with the day-to-day, doesn't strive to make the friendship, the relationship better. And then with Juno being in the second house, he needs somebody that he can build financial prosperity with, that brings that stability. So if he doesn't have that in a relationship, it's not going to last long-term. And that's what happened with his ex-wife. I think Shanna Mokler, or Shayna, I think it's Shayna Mokler or Shanna Mokler. She was like a former Miss Universe or whatnot. You know, they had that reality TV show years ago called Meet the Barkers on MTV. And so they fell in love. There was probably romance there and everything. But then the relationship did not work long term. And if anybody remembers that show, you know, his ex-wife was always like in bed, just lounging around. And he was like off doing the day-to-day things, making sure the kids got to school, making sure that everything was happening in the house that needed to, doing his work, recording music or whatnot. And she was just laying in bed. And I remember he used to complain about it. And now seeing the Juno and Virgo in the second house, it makes total sense. Like, he probably fell in love with her, but at the end of the day, for a relationship to work with him, he needs somebody that can maintain the day-to-day and really can be a true practical partner for him. And Courtney can be that, because she has that groundedness with her earth placements. And also her descendant, the cusp of her seventh house, is in Virgo. So she also wants a romantic partner that can provide that stability, that day-to-day functioning. So I think they really jive on that level. And then when it comes to Courtney's Venus versus Juno, like we mentioned before, Courtney's Venus is in Pisces. According to the Placidus house system, it's in the first house. So she also wants romance in her relationship. She's drawn to that. She needs compassion, emotional connection. But her Juno is in Aries, also in the first house. So with Juno being in Aries in the first house, you know, that goes along with her need for a relationship. So that's good. She has this strong need for a relationship, and her soul purpose, represented by the North Node, is all about entering a relationship. So this is very in line with her being, like, her being in a successful relationship is something that she wants and is meant to do to evolve. But with Juno being in Aries, she needs somebody who's assertive. She needs somebody who can give her a sense of independence, who accepts her for who she is. And, you know, I think Travis can provide that. He has very strong Mars aspects that really all together, well, I mean, does he have so he has Mars trine Uranus, he has Venus square Mars. Okay, so his Mars being in Cancer, you know, he's that type of person that can show the romance, that can show that he wants to be committed. And I think that's something that she probably was not getting from Scott Disick. You know, who's probably more like, yeah, I like you, but like, I'm also going to Ibiza next week. And, you know, all these things, that's not a fit for her. She needs somebody that's could develop a home life with her and be like, I am here for you. I want to be with you. And I think Travis Barker has been able to do that. And so they're even a good fit, I think, on a Juno level.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I was just looking at both charts as you mentioned something.
Yeah.
And like, I just realized what is it? Does Machine Gun Kelly also have moon in Pisces? And he has moon in no. She has Venus in Pisces. But what I was going to say was a person with Pisces placement like moon or Venus is gonna need somebody who is outwardly expressive because of how confusing they are. Someone more solid, someone more apt and willing to go all the way for them and just like melt into whatever type of love that they feel they deserve. So, this couple I think is also going to last. I think this is like a for lifer, even more that I think they're stronger than Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, just because Megan Fox is so is a Leo moon, and that consistency of putting her first is very tiring for some people. I think that Machine Gun Kelly could keep it up, but it would be something that at the end of the day he needs to do to maintain the relationship. Whereas these two are like, they're just in alignment. Like the stars are working in their favor, and there's no hard work to do because everything that they're doing is what they're naturally doing in life. So the way that they are sort of balances out to create the relationship that they love. And I hope that they have a long relationship because of all the strife and difficulty that Kourtney Kardashian shared with us on her show with Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Now she gets to really experience a romantic partnership that's on her level, because really, like, as much as Scott Disick, we were all rooting for him, like hopefully he gets his stuff together and everything else, but he won't. He's a Gemini, very strong Gemini, and they are who they are, and you just have to accept them for the way that they are. Yeah. You can't try to change a person who has a strong Gemini because that type of placement is catered to just be who they are, and the struggle that they're in may end if they choose to, but it's if they choose to. It's never going to be because they love someone or they care about someone. They have to really get themselves out of that problem. And she deserves and recognize that she deserves someone who she doesn't have to fight over being present, being a good father, being a person who is, available emotionally. Because that's something that, unfortunately our Gemini friends may lack when someone presents them with the needs that they have. And definitely somebody with Venus in Pisces is going to say, no, thank you, if you can't be there emotionally. Of all of the water signs, they need that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens. I'm excited to see if Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox get engaged, because I feel like after this eclipse happens, maybe not this eclipse, maybe when the Scorpio would it be, not Scorpio new moon, when would it be? I can't remember
like
now.
The Scorpio full moon.
The Scorpio full moon eclipse.
Yeah, the Scorpio full moon eclipse. When is well, that's happening next year, I would assume. And it's happening
in the summer, I believe. Or not in the summer, in the spring, in it must be May or the middle of the early May, right when that happens. Oh no.
That would be a good time for them to get engaged because that's around when their birthdays are. I mean, I think
exactly. So I think that and it's a good time because it would be almost 2 years since they got together. So, I'm excited to see if they get engaged. It's such a fun relationship to analyze. And so was Courtney and Travis. And I really I feel like even just on the most macro level with Courtney and Travis, they are, very compatible. Their inner planets are in alignment. Their outer planets are sort of, in the right place for the lessons that they have to teach each other in relationship. And most importantly, they're sort of connected on a deep level that we might not even be privy to, but we got a little window when they showed us their engagement video. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And and then the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio is happening May 16th, 2022. So will Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox be engaged by then or around there? Then time will tell. But if that happens, then we've predicted it first, I think.
We predicted it here on the Astro Read.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's been great analyzing these two couples and to show that there's some substance there, you know, whether people question or wonder why these couples ended up happening or not, you know, there's some substance there. I think with Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, it kind of like happens out of nowhere. And it's like they were intuitively aligned. It was like two souls that met that were meant to bond. And I think with Travis Barker and Kourtney Kardashian, it's kind of like a different story. Like they both knew each other for some time and they developed a friendship and an attraction over time that now has reached, you know, fruition in an engagement. And it kind of goes to show, like, with relationships, it could be either or. It could be love at first sight, or it could be something that builds over time. But regardless of whether it's like this fast happening or this slow build, there needs to be that foundation of friendship and deep emotional connection there for a relationship to work. And that's for anybody out there looking for love or looking to make their relationship better, like regardless of the timeline, like that friendship bonds, you know, needs to be there. You know, back in the day, I used to think to myself when people would say, you know, he's my best friend or she's my best friend, you know, about their romantic partner, I used to gag. But now I realize, like, that is what you need for a relationship to truly, truly work. And how it happens, you know, can be all, you know, aligned with the stars and with your astro charts. So
exactly. And I just wanted to say, because we did talk about how they were a goth couple and like how Courtney's wardrobe has sort of evolved and it's more dark or whatever it is. But like her Black Moon Lilith is like in Leo. So, you know, it's more that darkness is her light, let's call it, right? She's more rebelling against the status quo in a way that she can show who she is in a youthful way. And it doesn't matter what age she is, you know, that being in Leo, that youthful energy of Leo, she shines when she is being her most true self. And then, of course, the fact that she is older, she's been past her first Saturn return. She's done, you know, a lot of the experiences of the, you know, Jupiter going through her fifth house at least 3 times at this point. I think she's over 40. So, you know, so she's experienced all of these things. And so she gets closer and closer to expressing herself as her true self, which is an Aries, which Aries is a fiery, dark, beautiful sign. It's not necessarily, you know, this bright, perky Gemini. It's not this watery blue energy of Pisces. It's going to be more in alignment with maybe that Mars energy once you're older. Of the Mars expressing itself even as Scorpio. So, you know, we're wondering, why is she dressed this way? Maybe this is her true expression and she had a brand before and she doesn't care anymore about that, you know, how she's supposed to dress in order to be on keeping with the Kardashians. She's going to dress how she wants. So I don't think that how she's dressing is different. I think we are finally meeting the true Courtney, and that Travis is bringing out the best parts of her, the ones that we are, you know, excited to meet, the ones that always surprise us with the cool outfits. So yeah, it's been really interesting, and she gets to express that, you know, Jupiter in the fifth as well. So a lot of youthfulness, a lot of energy, a lot of you know, excitement, and then, you know, always down to earth at the end of the day. So yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's been great analyzing these couples. Thank you all for tuning in and hearing our thoughts on these two couples. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. You know, do you agree? Do you not agree? What do you think about these two couples? Do you think they will last? We, you know, love to hear your thoughts. If you would like to share them in the comments, you know, don't forget, to like, comment, and or subscribe to stay tuned to our future episodes. We'll have more celebrity astrology to come, and self-help tip astrology to come, etc. We've got a lot in the works, so definitely stay tuned by subscribing so you know when we have a new episode. In our next episode, we'll touch upon how you can survive Venus retrograde. So buckle up. Venus retrograde happens about every 18 months. And so the last Venus retrograde we had was actually towards the start of the pandemic, like in the early days of the pandemic when everybody was isolated. But now our next Venus retrograde that's coming up starting in December will be in this new era of the pandemic. So how will that affect things? We'll touch more upon it. So we've kind of talked about these celebrities and how they may be affected by Venus retrograde, but what about you? Listen to our next episode so you can really find out how you can make the most out of this Venus retrograde and realize that, it's going to be challenging, but it's not as bad as you think.
Yeah, perfect. So I'll see you guys soon.
All right, take care. See you in the next episode.